I have been aware that God uses every member of the body. We're all a part of one body, folks. There's no less necessary than others. We have different functions. For me to raise this up and show you this, do you know how many things have to function in order to make this body function, right? We're all significant. You think maybe the forefinger and the thumb are the most important. That's not true. When it comes to doing this, no. This whole process starts up here in the head, and you got to have a head and everything else, and it starts going. All signals are everything is being utilized by other pieces of the body. They're all necessary, and I've watched members of the body provoke me into certain places I need to be. And it's just like again, for me to go like this, everything's provoking everything. Everything is a part of the rest. And so in order to make this function, it starts somewhere and it gets moved along. So I've seen people provoke me into certain areas that I needed to go. And I've been very aware of it, and I've talked to people about it. You've provoked a reaction. You provoked this to occur. It had nothing to do with me. And regarding one aspect that has been with me my entire life, as far back as I can remember, that I have actually avoided, because I got so tired of seeking God on something to me then seemed more like fluff. Something unnecessary to even know, which I have now figured out beyond fluff. No. This puts the final nail in the coffin. You think I'm kidding. I'm not. You're going to be amazed, as I was. But has been with me my entire life as to who the seven kings were, even when I wrote the graph. I wrote this back in 2011, 2012. I'm giving a mainstream thesis to the seven kings. And again, you think, how's that got to do with Daniel? Hold tight. But here's what I put. I put regarding the seven kings on page 186 of the graph. I believe it's chapter 13, Reign of Two Beasts. There are seven kings. This is Revelation 17, verse 10. And there are seven kings. John's basically being told the interpretation is as if this is enough of an interpretation to figure it out. It is and it's not. There are seven kings, 5 are fallen, 1 is, and the other is not yet come. And when he cometh, he must continue a short space. Mainstream's interpretation, his mainstream's interpretation is this. The interpretation, seven mountains, seven kingdoms. 7 mountains equals 7 kingdoms. There are 5 fallen world powers at the time of John's writing. They were Egypt, Assyria, Babylon, Medo, Persia, and Greece. The one that is at the time of John's writing was Rome, and the one that is yet to come is the 7th world power and kingdom. And I say a little more. I'll end right there. It's mainstream's interpretation. Sometime back, I believe it was in April, mid-April, right around April 15th, I think, exactly. Yeah. Somebody was provoking me about the 7 kings again. When I mean provoking me, asking me about it, and he was referring to that in the book, where I gave mainstream's interpretation. That is the only thing that I've thought I've ever known, or didn't know, I should say, that I've never been able to get past. I can figure it out. I get so sick of praying about something that I'm never going to get an answer to. Even though I have given stories after stories on how God will make you wait until it's time. And yet I still fail. I miss what God is doing. Why do you keep waiting? Here I get the 7 kings 1 month before I'm going to be writing on Daniel. There's a coincidence for you, isn't it? Right about 1 month from now, I'll be starting Daniel, truly unsealed, and it is truly unsealed, as you're going to see. I never knew the 7 kings would do this. Never in my wildest dreams. And so I was telling the person back in April, who again I felt probably was proof. In fact, he even said, he's trying to stir the pot. That's kind of funny. I said I was seeing something else, and it's basically right in front of your face. You who listen to the mainstream interpretation, when it comes to the 7 kings, 7 heads, seven heads, 10 horns, all that, we're told in John, Revelation chapter 13's first beast, that it's a 42-month window. Aren't we told that? That's what we're told. So if the 7 heads are there in this 42-month window, how in the world are we going back all the way to Greece and Medo-Persia and Egypt and Rome? Those 7 kings exist in the 42-month window, but I never could put my finger on it. See, that's something right in front of your face, but yet we listen to mainstream because we have no other answer. And yet sometimes it's right there. A couple weeks ago, sorry, storytelling, but you're going to get to hear how it happened. A couple weeks ago, I get another email from another guy. He's asking about the 7 kings again. And you know what hits me? That I immediately rejected. And that's not good. This guy's provoking a reaction. That I need to seek God. God's using him to provoke a reaction. I rejected that immediately. And that's not good. Do you know, folks, you can reject the Holy Ghost and not even know you're rejecting him. I was tired, I got to admit. It was almost my bedtime anyway. Maybe that's why I wasn't very clear on anything that was going on. But I rejected that. I said, nah. I wrote the guy. Said, we're just going to have to wait and see. I'm writing to the guy. This is not something that can be known. Trust me on that. That's what I told him. Right along those lines. Pretty adamant. I wanted to shut that down because as far as I knew, there's no answer. God is waiting for this to be answered some other day. Like when it happens, then we'll know. That's what I told him. When it happens, then we'll know. He writes back with a possible solution. And I'm like, and folks, I couldn't tell you how many times again, how many different variables I went through in my head over and over and over again. And I showed him why. I said, no, that's not possible. And here's why it's not possible. I'm not going to tell you. It was another possible solution. This one was wrong. So I explained why. We need to wait. Don't even waste your time. And what happens to me at right around there is I start feeling from the Holy Ghost. I knew this was the Holy Ghost. Wrong. I'm feeling wrong. And it's getting worse. It just didn't come in as, no, this was in a gradual increase. And you know what hits me? My mind. In my head, I'm like, the reason I'm feeling wrong is because this guy's going to intrude on my prayer time. Now, God had never done that to me before, because if I've missed a prayer time, all of a sudden I've done wrong. But, I'm trying to rationalize what's going on. And what I mean by wrong, some of you who've watched the channel know the last time I discussed when wrong hit had to do with my mother-in-law. That was about a couple months ago, who, by the way, is still healed. Those of you that ask, thank you for all your prayers. But then, when that happened to me, I'll put that video right up there. You guys really should watch it. And I'll give you one more video. If you don't watch that, watch this one right here on how God talks. I call this a primitive level of the way God speaks, because I don't. This is not the gift. This is not a gift of the word of knowledge. This is simply anybody can experience this. This is I don't know how to prove that other than this started happening to me before the gifts ever started functioning. This type of way of God talking, and I call it a very primitive level. You just have inner knowings, but that's about it. But you don't necessarily know everything. Like something's wrong, but you don't know what is wrong. And in this case, I didn't know what was wrong. So I'm in my head going like, God, he's not going to take away from my prayer time, and I'm going to go to bed, but it keeps going and getting worse. Now I want to explain one thing. As I've told the wife and I've said before, generally the very first thought you get is going to be the right one. Of course, I already rejected one. Never even crossed my mind again. Wrong. Some of you are already jumping ahead. You probably already get what this is. I didn't get it. What I did know that I could pray about it. And when you are getting this, whatever this is, you will know when you're on it, when you're over the target. It's kind of like you'll know when you touch the live wire. You'll know when you're on it. You just know you're on it. So as this is getting worse, I get up I leave the keyboard. I'm like, God, what is this? What is this? What do I know? I don't know what it is. God isn't telling me. So I'm starting to go through my head. He's not giving me an answer other than wrong is happening, wrong. And I'm like, is it something that's going to happen? Is it happening? I couldn't imagine how it's happening right then and there because I'm getting ready to go to bed. Nothing wrong that I knew was happening right then and there. And what starts hitting my head again, this is my own trying to rationalize what's going on, is if wrong is happening to me, I'm feeling wrong as I'm getting ready to go to bed, that means tomorrow is going to be horrible. Any of you that follow my stories, if God's telling me something the night before, oh, wow, you want to run the next day. You just want to leave town and be gone. So I'm getting scared because nothing's happening that I could tell was wrong right then and there. So this is happening the night before. Folks, here's your intelligent man who's got everything all worked out, right? So I'm getting scared. I get on my knees. It's my prayer time anyway. This guy didn't take away from me my prayer time. And I put my finger on the wire. I put my finger on it, and I knew it was me. I knew I was the one that, and here again, either had done wrong or was going to do wrong. But I was on the live wire. I knew it was me. That bothered me. And the Holy Ghost came down. And as I was crying uncontrollably, all I'm feeling is the Holy Ghost all around me, and I am apologizing for what I've done wrong, or what I'm going to do wrong. I just knew I was wrong. And out of nowhere, this wasn't my own head, as some of you are going to say. This was the last place I was. I was in the realm of how wrong I was. Who the 7 kings were is before my face. The query to the guy's email. And I'm taken back. In fact, I'm shaking out of what's happened here because I know, folks, I was trying to figure out where I was going to be wrong the next day or what I had done, and I couldn't figure it out. Apologizing, asking God to forgive me of the sin I had committed. I didn't even know what it was. And the 7 kings are there. So I'm shaking off the Holy Ghost as best I know how. I start to add it up. I'm adding it up because the solution was right there, so I have to add it up. This should tell you right now this had nothing to do with me adding something up. I had to add it up after the fact. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I get up off my knees. No wrong is there anymore. The wrong had left. I'm not piecing everything together yet. Now, I know some of you say, Steve, it was just the spaghetti. It's probably the ragu. Well, if that had been the case, by the time that little time I was on my knees, it had digested. It It had digested. The wrong had left. I get up and I'm going to go reply to this guy in an email, giving him the answer that I am freaking out on. And immediately my head goes, oh, maybe I shouldn't be saying anything to the guy. Maybe that's the wrong. And I knew immediately it wasn't the wrong. So how did you know? The same way you knew that the wrong was happening or going to happen, whatever, is the same way that I knew I wasn't on the live wire. It wasn't it. So I go and I write the guy. And as I'm writing the guy, this is the most likely solution. I instantaneously knew it wasn't likely. It was the solution. And I immediately knew at the same time that the wrong was that I was rejecting the guy. All God wanted from me was me to, one more time, get on your knees, and I'll give you the solution that's been there all along. Now, what I'm going to show you, folks, I need some of you to get this. You really need, some of you are just so hard-headed. And when you start talking about Daniel, demons come out of the woodwork. These guys they hate anything that's true about Daniel, because everybody thinks they know what they're talking about. What you're going to see here is mathematically so improbable it's not even funny. For this to be wrong, is a better way of saying this. For this not to be God. Of course, that was just all coincidence right there. Something that I had mulled over, prayed over. I took it to the point where I was telling God he was wrong. Now, he said that's just about as dumb as it can be. But yeah, in some ways it kind of, but I didn't mean that God himself was wrong. I meant that God was not giving the solution. And the people had blown it. Somewhere in interpretation somewhere. And there can be wrong interpretations, folks. I'm not going to get in. I've seen man blow it repeatedly. Somewhere Daniel didn't record something, or John didn't say something right. Somewhere. So that's what I meant. God, you skipped a beat here. You blew it. How can I see that you're wrong and that this is wrong? Because I've been through everything and I saw something that I believed I knew that I knew. And it turns out I was wrong. Whoever would have thought that? Something I believe. Anyway, so here's what I'm going to do for you. I'm going to show you something. Listen, this is, if you take a step back and mull this over in your head. Some of you have heard over, you've heard over and over that I keep saying Daniel is doing the exact same thing John is. The exact same thing, speaking to the same point in time. Some of you get it. Some of you don't get it. You find, and I keep saying it's 3.5 years, over and over and over and over again. Now, you can have, I said, folks, listen, you can have people, they'll make a case, and they'll say, here's the case. And as I was telling the wife earlier, I said, lawyers do this all the time. Prosecution does it all the time. You'll give an argument, and you'll say, here, now you can hang somebody on one piece of evidence, I agree, right? You know. But generally, the prosecution or a lawyer will try to show a case. Here's another piece of evidence proving the first. And some of you, you know what you do? You just, yeah, but no. And they show another piece which confirms the previous. Yeah, but no. And then you show another one. Yeah, but no. You know where you're going when you do this, people? Please. You're moving into you're becoming irrational. You're not thinking logically. That's how you prove a case, is by the more bricks in the wall that you keep putting, the more nails in the coffin. You've created a case. It solidifies the argument that this must be true, and yet I have shown repeatedly how, like where Daniel's told in Daniel chapter 12. I've heard one person say, well, Daniel chapter 11 cannot be 3.5 years, even though after the vision, Daniel's asked, how long shall it be until the end of these wonders? And he's told it's going to be 3.5 years. Times time the dividing of a time. That's what that is. Nah. You get Revelation 13 telling you how long Daniel 7 is. 42 months. Nah. You get Daniel 9 giving you a timeline to the 70th week, where midweek the sacrifice ceases. How long is that? 42 months. Yeah. You know what I found some of you guys were doing? Some of you were actually listening to other people that I have said need to shut up. What you have said you're doing is you're taking Daniel 7, some of you, and depending on who you're listening to, you're taking Daniel 7 and you're saying, they're all there in Revelation 13, but all they're doing is getting back together. Have you not heard that? The Daniel 7 isn't 42 months. It's just all these beasts getting back together, forming one. Have you not heard that? Depending on who you're listening to, one guy used to argue with all the time. These transpired. I mean, the first one was Great Britain. We're going to deal with the leopard. Supposedly, that's Germany. You also get them going back farther. You get people, depending on who you're listening to, back several millennia. And then you get Daniel 8. Supposedly, is Alexander the Great. And point is, you're not dealing with a 3.5-year period. Supposedly, even though that's what Daniel said. How long shall it be to the end of these wonders? 3.5 years. What wonders? Well, what he'd been seeing. Now listen to this. The key here is this. When you realize, not that they're just getting back together. If I can take something and show something that John gives, if I can show if the storyline seen in Revelation is seen in Daniel 7, then it's not them getting back together. It is Revelation, John's take happening in Daniel 7. If the storyline is seen in Daniel 7. Got it? They're not just getting back together. No, now you have them like this. They are each other. But you got to show the storyline. Don't you? Never in my wildest dreams, ever. The wife said, "Why didn't I draw this ahead of time? It's funner to draw it and just draw it as I go." But I never draw very well, considering when I'm let me see if you guys, when the board's standing up and my hand isn't on it. So follow with me, right? I'm going to show you Revelation is seen, the whole story. John gets extra stuff that Daniel doesn't get, and vice versa. So it's not just they're getting back together. No. Watch this. So I'm just going to make sure you guys can see. Okay. Enjoy my writing. We're going to do this. Yeah, we'll do that. Okay, so Daniel 7, right? Now I can read these, but I think I'm just going to avoid them. You can go to Revelation chapter 13 and look at the first verses, the first two verses. You see the characteristics. Okay, and I hope I'm not talking too loud to where the microphone's on. If it is, I'm sorry. In verse 2 of Revelation chapter 13, you see one of the characteristics is a lion. I believe it's the mouth of a lion, right? Correct? Okay. What do you see first beast in Daniel 7? You see a lion with eagle wings, and Daniel watches until the eagle wings are plucked, right? And you're left with the lion, right? Next thing you see, Revelation 13 verse 2, feet of a bear, if I recall correctly. Bear. Second beast in Daniel 7 is what? A bear. Correct? Agreed? Next thing we see in Revelation 13 verse 2 is a leopard. What do we see? Third beast, Daniel 7, leopard. Oops. Yeah, it's fun when I try to do it like this. Anyway. Leopard. Then we see verse 1 of Revelation 13, we got 7 heads and 10 horns, don't we? Right? Let's make it easy on me as I draw this. Let's just do the 10 horns. Now see what's crazy about this, again, at this stage, there is still the argument, yeah, they're just all getting back together. But yet, at the same time, you also have the other flip side of the argument that they're the same. You're dealing with the same point in time, and there's more arguments already that it's the same point in time, given what I've already said. Daniel 12. He's asked, how long is it? The timeline in Daniel 9. So anyway, I'm not going to go back. I already gave the arguments. But there's more showing that this is the same point in time rather than them just getting back together for the 42-month window, as Revelation chapter 13 tells us. Hope I'm not talking too fast. What do we see in Daniel 7? The fourth beast. Non-characteristic. It's not any kind of an animal. It's just simply a beast. We don't know what kind. But what's it have? 10 horns. Right? Okay. I did a television show. There are teachings out there that sit and say that the 7 heads seen in Revelation chapter 13's first beast, not that the same 7 heads in Daniel 7. No. These 7 heads are the 7 hills of Rome. You'll have heard that. I was taught that when I was young. I was hearing that teaching. Nobody ever took the 7 heads from Daniel 7, and yet they're there. How many heads does a lion have? 1 head. There's your head. Probably can give it a couple eyes and make it look pretty, but anyway. How many on the bear? 1 head. Right? How many does a leopard have? We're told it has 4 heads, right? That's what it says. How many heads on the 10-horned beast do you think? Well, it's a beast. It's got a head. 10 horns, but it's got a head. Okay? So what do you got here? If Revelation 13 also Revelation 13 also has a beast with 7 heads. Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 heads. Just another one of those coincidences. You got your 7 heads in Daniel 7. Now, we're going to end it because we're only talking the first beast. Yes, I'll get to the little horn. Yes, I'll get to the second beast. Give me a second, though. Okay? We're going to examine what John is told. In fact, let's just read that real quick. There you go. So far, yet I've yet to prove beyond it. Listen to what John has said in Revelation 17. We're going to start at verse, let's do 7. Okay. This is the interpretation that John is being given regarding the beasts, or the beast. It is kind of the beast too. We'll get to that. Verse 7, and the angel said unto me, wherefore didst thou marvel? I will tell thee the mystery of the woman, and of the beast that carrieth her, which hath the 7 heads and 10 horns. The 7 heads are in this time frame, aren't they? They are. They're a part of the 42-month window. And the beast that thou sawest, verse 8, the beast that thou sawest was and is not, which we'll get to. I almost wasn't even going to explain this part. because of the platform I'm on. I'm going to say something here. You gleaners, you want to run off and say something that God didn't give you and take it to... Folks, the Holy Ghost knows who he's speaking to. You self-promoters, some of you, you promote self. If the Holy Ghost wants to promote you or give you, he knows how to do that. The beast thou sawest was and is not, shall ascend out of the bottomless pit, shall go into perdition, and they that dwell on the earth shall wonder, whose names are not written in the book of life, written from the foundation of the world, when they behold the beast that was and is not and yet is. And here's the mind that hath wisdom. The Holy Ghost has wisdom. Here's the mind that hath wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman sitteth. And there are 7 kings. At one time I had wrestled with this, like, are the 7 mountains, the 7 kings, the same, are 7 hills? I'm sorry, 7 mountains. People say it's 7 hills. It's not. I'll show you this too. I thought they're one and the same. 7 heads, 7 kings. That's not what it says. It says, and there are 7 kings, 5 are fallen, 1 is, and the other is not yet come. And when he cometh, he must continue a short space. And the beast that was, and is not, even he is the 8th, and is of the 7th, and goeth into perdition. What I'm about to show you numerically is almost endless. There are so many different possibilities, as many as you'd like to count up to. If you can count to 100, then you can make 100 possibilities. You mathematicians will like this. You apologists will love this. And there are 7 kings, 5 are fallen, 1 is, and the other is not come. Listen to me. Where have I contended for forever? I have said repeatedly, right? So we got, let's do this. I have argued with some of you too. I just tired of arguing that Daniel 8 is Daniel 7 as well. It's a repeat. Have I not said that over and over again? You're looking at the same point in time over and over and over again. That the goat's nation in Daniel 8 is destroyed. Right? According to Daniel chapter 7, Daniel 8, Daniel 11, who's the last person to show up? This isn't a trick question. It's the little horn, right? The little horn shows up. I have also said the goat's nation, the 4 notable horns are the same 4 heads, right? In the leopard. Now that I argued with for forever on, but never had an absolute way of proving it. Other than common sense and listening to what I've been trying to explain, I've given lots of reasons. Again, creating a case. If the 4, okay, and that's going to resolve this for you who can't believe that Daniel simply repeating that Daniel 7 is Daniel 8 and so forth. If the 4 notable horns in Daniel 8 are the leopard, where is the little horn going to be? He's going to be in the leopard, right? He's going to be right in here. And he's going to be one of these. In fact, he will be what? He will be the final one. Correct? Come on, folks. This ain't no trick question. I mean, where is he going to be? If the 4 notable horns are part of the leopard and the 4, the same 4. You got 7 kings going here, folks. Think about this. 5 are fallen, 1 is, and the other is not yet come. He's the last one. So if he is the 4th notable horn, or he's the 4th head, where is he at? He's right here. Correct? He has to be. If they're the same. Let's do that. If Steve's right. If these are the same, and you're looking at as God spoke to me, the broken, divided nation is this leopard. It's the same 4 notable horn. So now what have we done? What have we put into play? We've put into play, if this is the notable horn, I want you guys really thinking through this. I want you to answer this as opposed to you saying, well, Steve, you put that, you manipulated your talk and you made it come out this certain way and it sounds like this, but it's not really that. No, if the notable horn is in the leopard, then he is this one. End of story. There's your little horn right there. Now we've put the leopard into play. Listen, 5 are fallen, 1 is, and the other's not yet come. Where's the 1 is? Right here, right? There's the 1 is. Come on, folks. 5 are fallen, 1 is, and the other is not yet come. And when he cometh, he must continue a short space. You're going to learn how short that space is too, huh? If this is really a storyline. Right? So what's that do? Well, that takes out, so now we're here. But now we got 5, we're looking for 5 fallen, aren't we? I've continued to say, I've said it, read Daniel 11, folks. Read Daniel 11. You will see kings come and go. And I've said it, they come and they go until they wind up what? They wind up these final 2. Coincidentally, again, another one of those coincidences. It's another brick in the wall, folks. You can see the details of the fighting in Daniel chapter 11, who the king of the north and the king of the south finally align themselves after kings have come and gone. These 2 align themselves. They have a sit down. They sit down together, and they align themselves. It's a deceitful alliance. It's not going to last. It's under the wrong pretenses, and they're probably lying to each other. In fact, I think it's what it says. In fact, I think it's verse 27. I'll put that down here. You can see the alliance between the king of the south and the king of the north. The king of the north being the little horn. It's another brick in the wall. It's another case. These final 2, well, the 1 is and the other's not going to come. They wind up making a temporary alliance. It's all under lies and whatnot, but that's what winds up happening. Read Daniel 11. But before that, what happened? A couple, you read it. They come and they go. But all that's going to do right here is give us what? 2. We're looking for 5. We're not even looking for it. According to the storyline, what's the bear have in his mouth? The bear has what in his mouth? 3 ribs. God spoke specifically and said, the bear doesn't rise. It only gets up on its size. If it was to rise to power, to stand up, it would be in power. No, it's only going to get itself up just enough to devour 3 nations down to the bone, down to the skeletal. I knew one of them instantaneously what one of them was. God didn't give me the other 2 because it's also seen in the story right here, folks. In part, the reason of the plucking, the removal. And Israel, the lion, is left to stand alone, specifically Jerusalem. By itself, is because one of these ribs is going to be America. So 3 ribs are in the bear's mouth, and that's the only other destruction we see. And we got 2 here that go before. So what do we got here? We got 5. 5 are fallen, 1 is, and the other is not yet come. We have this confirming now Daniel. We have this whole story confirming Daniel 7 is Daniel 8. Come on, people. In fact, I want you to see how this actually, because I know some of you are still not getting it. Do you know how impossible or improbable this is? How this isn't 4 or 3 or 2 in the storyline. This is 5 kings that are fallen. Not 6, not 7, not 8. If the one that is and the other's not going to come as these 2 right here, we have now 5. 5, folks. Not coincidentally. You can't do that. How many could, it may say none there before that. But if we actually know where the little horn is, as I've said, he's right here. He's the final one in the leopard. The final one in Daniel 8. Hello, people. You don't realize what this all means. And the one that is, I've messed up my whole drawing. It doesn't even matter anymore because you can see it. And the one that is, and the other's not yet come, it gives you 5 here. 5 are fallen, and not coincidentally. It could have been any number. There could have been nobody there. And the fact that there is somebody there and that's 5 in the storyline, you now have Revelation becoming Daniel 7. No ands, if, or buts about it. You can't do that. Hello, you apologists. You know you can't do that. This now confirms Daniel 8 is Daniel 7. This now confirms it's a part of the storyline according to what John saw. You would simply want to say they're all getting back together. No, it's over with. It's gone. You've lost the argument. John's tale of this point in time is seen in the storyline of Daniel 7. It's taken the other way. It's not just Daniel going to Revelation 13. They become that 42 month. No. Revelation is now confirmed. Daniel 7 is Revelation. Because there's your storyline. And you can't do that. That could have been any number or no number. It's as much as you could count. And yet it became 5. It became 5. There's more here too. Some of you, when you get a puzzle piece, you can't start piecing things together, but you got to have it come from the Holy Ghost first before you start seeing the rest. The beast that thou sawest was and is not. What do we got happening after this? We have a little horn come up, right? He comes up among them, don't we? Right? It's only part of the puzzle, though. John is told, and the beast that thou sawest was and is not. Get the words right. Yeah, wasn't as even he's the 8th. That's going to be verse 11. Another case in point. Another proof. The beast that thou sawest was and is not, even he's the 8th. Well, what do you got? 7 heads. There's 7 heads right there. 7 heads. The beast that thou sawest was and is not, even he's the 8th, and is of the 7. Well, here's your 7, right? Your 7. Here's your 7 heads. He's of the 7. But even he's the 8th and is of the 7. How do you get an 8th head? I'm going to make my little... You like my second beast? You can see that. Even he's the 8th and is of the 7. Here's your 8th head. Where have I yelled over and over again? Where is the little horn? In the second beast, folks. Then what you're also going to see, which it's interesting about how Daniel 11 hands you, these kings kind of come and go. They're fighting back and forth. It winds up being between the king of the north and king of the south. King of the north is going to be the little horn. And what are you seeing there? You're seeing the second beast in Revelation chapter 13 that has 2 horns. These 2, king of the north, king of the south, one being the little horn, make a temporary alliance. They're the 2 powers. There's your 2-horned beast. Second separate beast away from the 10 horns. You have no clue how many times I've argued with some of you, argued until it didn't matter. Again, the mathematical improbability of me being able to do this, I can't do this, and you can either take the whole thing as coincidence, some absolutely amazing ragu spaghetti sauce I had, or this was God. You can't do that. You can't just make another puzzle piece perfectly fit there. You can't. You can't. And here's your 8th head right here. Where's the little horn? Right here in the second beast. And there's more. I'm going to be holding some things for the book. I'm going to save some stuff I said for the book. I'm just not going to give it all here. But in the end, what this does is one thing mainly. Mathematically, you can't do that. If the little, see, I sense some of your spirits already. It's so ironic that that's the way you are. You have case after case, piece of evidence proven. It keeps lining up and lining up and lining up, and it's all just coincidence. You reach a point to where it's no longer can be called coincidence anymore. And what does that make this place that I've been saying? I know I want to say certain things to some of you, but demons would come out of the woodwork. You're left with something that's basically numerically not likely. So incredibly unlikely. And yet you now have a solution as to who, and there's more here. You're going to get to see who. This is enough, folks. This is enough. And I wanted you to have it. And all this does in the end is tell you one thing. What you've been getting here has been accurate. This proves it, unless you want to deny this too. And I don't know how you concoct that. How do you concoct that? You can't. You just have another piece of the puzzle lining up. And there's a lot here to be seen. Now, there's a lot of things going on in the world scene right now that I really want to get to. But I'm writing a book, and I got to get it done soon. God keeps coming down and giving more, and He's really in charge of the book, the companion. You have this book, the graph, you're going to want the companion. If you think the graph was powerful, you're going to want the companion. Only one chapter out of so far I believe I'm on chapter 11, only one chapter have you heard of the book that I've ever discussed in the book. The rest is all absolute miraculous revelations that are astounding me. Kind of like that. I'll try to be back as soon as I can. I know you all want to hear more. I want you to see about how everything I've told you proves to be true now. And when I'm just going to shut up. I'm sorry. I'm going to leave it here. I'll be back soon. Look for more to come. Until next time, take care and God bless.